Merry Christmas, everyone. It's been a while, so my wife tells me that I've actually done one since Thanksgiving, but I don't remember doing that, which might be a factor of my chemo brain, which is a real thing, come to find out. But I'll get into that in a little bit. But first, remember, I am not a doctor, so anything I say in this episode is not to be construed as medical advice. And secondly, we're going to be talking about prostate cancer. If that makes you feel uncomfortable, just be aware of what you're getting into. All right, so this week, I guess we'll just jump ahead since that's kind of the latest thing that happened. Monday, and if just kind of bring up to speed, if you remember, my last round of chemo had to get extended. It's supposed to be every 3 weeks. The last one, I think, there was a 5-week gap between the two because I'd gotten sick. Just a cold, upper respiratory infection, but still I was sick. Had round 4, and then what I was told by the doc at the very beginning of this whole thing was we would do 4 rounds and then we would do a CT scan. And then based on that CT scan as compared with the baseline CT scan I did before I started chemo, he would decide whether or not I was going to do round 5 and 6. Also, if you remember at that time, that didn't really make a lot of sense to me for a couple of reasons. One, because my scan was already pretty good. A lot of stuff was already gone. And then also because the PA, the physician's assistant on the second round of chemo, I believe had said, no, we're going to base it on how well you respond to the chemo and whether or not we do the last 2 rounds, which made a lot more sense to me. But anyway. But this episode is really kind of more about how important your frame of mind is to you fighting cancer or anything in life, really. And so as an example of this, I got into my head because of what the doctor had said about making a decision after the 4th round that I was only going to have to do 4 rounds of chemo. There was a couple of reasons for that. Number one, I didn't have a lot of mets in the first place. I would consider myself low volume. I don't know if the doctors technically consider me low volume, at least not from the very beginning when I had, my lymph nodes all here and the abdomen blown up. But all those have gone back to normal, with the exception of the stuff in my, some of them in my abdomen. As a matter of fact, on the latest CT scan, they only ever call out 1 lymph node in my pelvis and 1 lymph node in my abdomen as being a little enlarged. But anyway, I get ahead of myself. But so that was one. Number 2, I feel fine. And I've been attributing a lot of that to my diet, which is mostly vegan. I say mostly vegan because I do still eat fish once every other week or so, and I eat beef maybe once a month. And that's at the recommendation of the doctor I saw at Memorial Sloan Kettering in New York. But other than that, it's vegan. No cheese, no processed sugar in anything, no dairy at all, and mostly plant-based foods. And that's I think really helped me feel really good. And I've been able to stay active, and so I just and I've just been having a very positive, and all the support and the love from people watching the videos and stuff just really, really got me confident that I was not going to have to do round 5 or round 6. So fast forward to Monday, I go in, I take the CT scan after my 4th round or before the 5th, and then we did a PSA in conjunction with that. And hey, the PSA, that was another reason, whatever number I was on, my PSA is down to 0.09. So again, about half as much as it was since the last time I took it, probably a little bit more, I think. But anyway, take the scan, and then we go in on Thursday for the chemo. And off the bat, it's already kind of going sideways. We get a new PA that comes in. It's not the PA that we're used to, and she's new to the doctor. And nice lady. I know she really, it's just her bedside manner. And I don't have anything against her, but when she came in, she just had those sad eyes. The eyes that I think look at everybody like, you're going to die. And I've got some bad news for you. And so, all of a sudden my spidey senses were tingling. And I'm like, what's going on? One reason why my senses were tingling too is because the blood work I had on Monday as well, and I forgot to mention, more things were out of whack than normal. Normally, my white blood cell count is a little low, or at least one part of the white blood cell count is a little low, but never like really significant. But on this one, like a couple of things, a couple of the lymphocytes and the monocytes were either really high or really low. And there was some other stuff that was just out of whack, a lot more out of whack than normal. So I'm thinking, is something wrong with the blood work? I mean, what's going on? She's asking me questions. How are you feeling? Have you thrown up? Is there any blood in your stool? I'm just like, dude, what's going on? And then I was like, look, I thought we were just here to talk about the CT scan. You guys let us know everything is good, you're cured, and I'm going to go home and not have to do round 5 or 6. Because I was really thinking positively, and I really didn't think, I got myself worked up. So she leaves, and before she left, she said, "Oh, your scan is stable." And I'm like, what? I was like, "What are you talking about? My scan is stable." She's like, "Well, no new mets, nothing's gotten bigger." I'm like, that's not really what I was expecting. I'm expecting you to tell me that the scan is like even cleaner than it was before. So I was pretty upset about that again because I just have been feeling so good. The doc did come in and he let me know, hey, the scan is a good thing. This is a very good scan because and again, remember that we're talking about things that are only millimeters big. So, and there's not a lot of them. So it's still, there's nothing new, there's nothing bigger. If anything, things are smaller and there's less of them, so it still was good. It started out poorly. And then of course the doc saying, hey, let's go do round 5. And, which I really wasn't looking for. And then of course, when I started questioning the doc about it, he seemed to get defensive and it was a very quick conversation. And then he left and said, basically before he left, he said, you guys decide what you want to do. I'm out of here, and I'll go have a Merry Christmas. And again, the frame of mind is really important with all this stuff because, for example, when they accessed my port to do blood work on the day of the chemo, because I did decide to do the 5th round of chemo, which I don't know if I'll regret it, but, hey, I figure put all my cards on the table, do everything that the doctors say, and, and we'll see what happens. But anyway, when I did it, when I've done it all the times before, it's never hurt. This time it hurt when they did that. And then the steroids have always kept me up that first night. Well, but not so much so that it robbed me of a full night's sleep. This time, man, I did not go to sleep until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't get to sleep. And then it's just, my side effects more just kind of really getting to me. I'm starting to develop some issues and seeing out of my right eye. It's minor, so that sounds a lot worse than it is, but it's just stuff that bugs me. And it's because of the chemo and, of course, the chemo brain. I've forgotten to sign 3 checks that I've written in the last month and a half. It's harder for me to remember things. And I don't have those problems. Those kind of issues are not my problem, especially at 49 years old. So anyway, it is where I'm at. And again, like I said, things are still good. Things are still positive. Scan was good. PSA still continues to go down. I still continue to receive the love and support from everybody out there, as well as my wife and kids. So things are still good. It's just getting that mind right and bouncing back from when you thought you were going to go in there with a victory and you go out there and get a setback, which it wasn't a setback, but that's how I'm interpreting it. And then just getting up to just, hey, get through this 5th round of freaking chemo and then do one more then it can be over. And then the uphill climb after that with trying to get my muscle mass back for what I can, even when on androgen deprivation therapy, which makes it all that much harder to do. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm here. I feel great. It's a good day, and it's Christmas time. So Um, yeah. Merry Christmas, everyone. And remember, this Christmas and in 2024, that anything is possible.